Gonna have to tell me, baby, 'cause I wanna know what you're thinking. I know we're taking it slow, but it's the way you move your lips and how words roll off your tongue that's got me speechless. Wanna sit and talk to them more. I'm crazy about you.
Hobbs. He is with Net3, and he's going to do a little bit of give us a little information on AI in the utility world. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Hobbs here.
Good morning. In the spring of 1993, I returned back home to my small community from 2 failed semesters in college. I went into the family business, which was the utility business. My father retired 25 years working in a local utility, and my mother retired also 25 years at a neighboring county's utility company. And so that was kind of in our blood, in our nature, and I knew quite a bit about it. Well, that summer job that I took in 1993 turned into a full-time job. Well, I finished my associates in environmental law and then went on to get my business degree from a 4-year institution, paying my way through this time. I learned a lot about the utilities industry in those 4 years. I knew the inner workings of water, but primarily wastewater, which is where I spent most of my time. Either cleaning bar screens, working with the grit grinders, cleaning out clarifiers with fire hoses, the grease traps, making sure that those were taken care of properly, um, ultraviolet light cleaning, and ultimately getting to do a lot of work in the drying beds, if you know what I mean. So it was quite a journey. Um, but in 1998, I transitioned into IT work, working help desk at an IT company. And from there, I've spent the last 27 years, and a lot's changed. And thank you, Al Gore, for bringing us the internet over that time period, the iPhone, social media, COVID, a lot has changed. Now, this morning, I want to talk to you. If you all remember that back in 2007 and how that hit the market. This is going to be an exciting time, and really, I'm pretty excited about it because this is the type of thing that the good old US has tended throughout history to do really well. Why? Because we are people who create things. We are the idea people. We invent things. They start here within our borders. And as AI and agentic AI start, and we're still in the early stages, we're going to see some incredible developments in this area of technology. So I'm excited that we're here, and let's get into this just a little bit. And I apologize, I'm getting behind on my slides. Maybe. I work in IT, right? Thank you, sir. So let's talk about what is the difference between all these terms. You got it? What is the difference between all these terms here? So we've got automation, we've got artificial intelligence, and we've got agentic AI. Well, think of automation. When you think of automation, let's think about Amazon subscription services. I don't know if any of you all do that or not, but for me in my household, dog food is a thing that we have on automatic subscriptions. So I don't have to plan to buy dog food. It just shows up in the mail about every 3 to 4 weeks, right? Big old bag of dog food. That is an example of automation. Okay. You set it up. There's a workflow. Hey, every 3 weeks, every 4 weeks, order this, deliver it to my house. That's automation. That's an example of that. Let's talk about artificial intelligence or AI. Okay. So this would be going out and using one of those things like ChatGPT, Claude, whatever that might be, Grok, and saying, hey, what are some good types of dog food that I can use for Cuca, my golden doodle, right? What would be some things that you could recommend or suggest to me? And what would be the feeding sizes that you'd want me to use? And how often should I feed my dog? That would be an example. And it would go out and it would search and it would provide me back all of that great information on how to best care for my dog. Agentic AI is when you put those together. Okay. It's a personal assistant, if you will. So, what you say, what this looks like is you'll go out and you'll ask a search engine, very much like ChatGPT, Copilot, whatever you use. You'll say, hey, you'll say, remind me, do number one, right? I need you to just go take care of my dog's feeding thing, taking care of it. Find the best food, tell me what this agentic AI will do. You won't have to go set up the Amazon subscription services. You won't have to go and ask for recommendations. You'll just say, hey, make sure Cuca is taken care of, my dog. And what'll happen is it'll go ahead and it'll say, great, I'm going to set up the feeding schedule. I'm going to go out and look for the best food. I'm going to make sure it's delivered to your door. I'm going to give you reminders of when you need to put it in the dish and how much to put into the dish, right? Agentic AI is putting together the smarts of AI and the workflows of automation and allowing it to do this autonomously, to do it on its own, to give it certain tasks, give it things that you say, hey, you're allowed to do this. And so that's the convergence of those. Think of, if you will, Iron Man, right? Some of you may know him. He had his little assistant named Jarvis that was always in his helmet, and Jarvis would say, hey, your heart rate's getting out of control. You need to calm down. This is what AI and agentic AI is going to look like. It's going to be a personal assistant. The automation is the pre-built systems, the robotics, the tasks, the workflows. AI is the communication interface that can do the research. Agentic AI is allowing AI to make the decisions and take the actions. Let's take another example, okay? Let's say that I wanted to become a little bit more healthier. And so I told my agentic AI system, hey, I would like to drop 20 pounds, okay? Maybe you all don't struggle with this. What that agentic AI can do is take a look through a smart ring, a smart watch, whatever it is, and see, okay, this is your heart rate. This is how much you've been sleeping. This is how much you've been moving. This is what your caloric intake is. And then it can identify where your location is, find places to eat around you, provide suggestions for healthy food options that are nearby. Say, would you like me to order food from this place? This is what it looks like. This is the nutrients that it could potentially supply to you. And then it'll just pop up and it'll say, yeah, go ahead. Would you like to approve this? Yes. And then based upon when you leave the office, for instance, or leave the job site, it'll automatically place that order for you so that when you show up at that restaurant, fast food place, whatever it is, we said healthy though, not fast food, that it will already be ready for you. And so it can take over as your personal assistant to be able to manage those areas of your life that you need assistance in, the places that you need help. And so think of agentic AI as your personal assistant to carry out some of those functions. So, who's using it? Well, right now, as you can see by the statistics, And, that sounds like a big number. But if you think about it, with the examples that I've used, maybe you've used it to take a look at an email. Maybe you've used it to help present or put together a PowerPoint presentation for a conference. Maybe you're using it to help write documentation for you, technical documentation. Maybe you're using it to help find out the answers to some problems that you might have, either with computer systems or with your pumps or whatever that might be. And what action should I take in order to fix that? Well, some of the organizations that have heavily invested in it, I've spoken to some of them. Amazon, for instance, has over 10,000, that's right, over 10,000 AI systems in place right now. Why? Because it needs to make sure that when you place that order online, it can get it to your front door as quickly as possible. 10,000 agentic workflows is not a small number. There's a security company named Checkpoint who's recently announced that they're going to be hiring 350 agentic software developers just to start to build more security protocols on how things can be able to react immediately when attacks happen. Maybe you know, or maybe you don't, that OpenAI, who found ChatGPT, right? One of the biggest backers of that was Bill Gates. And so it's no surprise that Copilot, Microsoft's version of ChatGPT, was right there introducing the same tool almost at the exact same time as ChatGPT was introduced. But then you can think of it this other way. Hackers are using it. It used to be, hey, these are the things you need to look at when you get a phishing email. Are there incorrect and misspelled words? Is it asking for things that don't make sense? No, hackers are using this to write better phishing emails so that it is really difficult. You can really look like you're in America, even though you may not speak a lick of the English language. They're also using it to write smarter ransomware, newer ransomware attacks, to be able to send them out to companies so that you won't see them. It'll be new ways to get into your systems. But some other uses for this, people developing code, writing code, programmers. Nowadays, programming is being done by anybody, by you and I. That application that I talked about potentially creating to be able to help suggest meal plans and order that automatically, you can do that yourself just by asking ChatGPT, Grok, Claude, one of these, to start to build that agent for you. Now, some of those systems are not completely built out yet, but it's getting there. You don't need to be a programmer anymore to be able to set these systems up. But people are also using it to writing cybersecurity policy, to develop business plans, grant writing, technical documentation, vacation planning, meeting notes, writing books. These are some of the big areas that AI is starting to be used. But it's not just big organizations, it's also the utilities industry. And as you can see by these numbers, you can see that 36% of energy and utility companies have adopted the software providers that you're using are implementing AI. So it is touching your systems. It is, whether it's Microsoft's Copilot being in your email, or maybe the SCADA system that's starting to do smart recognition of the data on your network. It's gonna get in. We'll double click on this a little bit later so we can look at some more examples. So why does this matter? Well, this is the inevitable future. And I'm not trying to scare you. I'm not trying to say lightly that this is the next big thing coming. I truly believe it. And again, my goal here is just to bring your awareness about this and help you to understand, because we're going to look back in a hot minute and we're going to say, whoa, I never imagined how this is going to impact me, not only at my personal lives, but also at work. And right now, I've been in technology, as you can see, since the late 90s. We've always said it, but now it's more true than ever. Technology is moving faster than it's ever been moving before, because these agentic AI systems can build faster, build better than humans ever could. In fact, I was talking to a CEO of another IT company a month ago at a conference. He was talking about how he had just been over to the Arabian Peninsula looking, and he was He was walking through microprocessor manufacturers over there, and AI is designing the microprocessor chips far better than humans could possibly design the processors, thinking through different ways, faster, better. And a lot of this is starting to be built upon quantum computing, computing that's based upon physics and principles and laws, that it can just go faster and do it much better than humans can. Well, it just so happens that personal assistants or agentic AI also have big return on investments. And this is the reason why it's going to come, whether you like it or not, it's going to hit the bottom line. And if you've been around as long as I have, then you know if it hits the bottom line, then it's going to get into society one way or another. Client satisfaction. We live in a DoorDash age. It used to be the fast food age, but now instead of driving to the local fast food restaurant, we're just ordering it through DoorDash and saying, come deliver it to me. So, in the same way, tech savvy people want instant access at their fingertips, and many would prefer not speaking to another human being. If you've got younger kids like I do, you can totally understand how kids these days maybe don't have the social skills that we did, because they're just on their phones or on their video games all day long. And so they'd much rather just be able to order something and click it and have it. And studies are showing that the younger folks are, the more that they don't want to interact with humans for things that they know they want, and they know that they want to purchase it now. They don't. They just want to be able to go and click it and have it done. Well, so this is bringing client satisfaction into the focus. Knowing this translates to voice recognition systems, chatbots, and these are providing higher satisfaction ratings than humans can on the phone. It's answering questions quicker and more completely than some of our client representatives can be doing. Operational efficiencies. Artificial intelligence can monitor thousands of data points to detect a harmonic imbalance in a pump somewhere and be able to notify you about it, so that you can it'll automatically contact the manufacturer of the pump and have them come out and run maintenance on that for you. And you didn't even know that there was anything going wrong on it. Resource optimization. Understanding, like, hey, what's my subscriber utilization rates, and what are the plant capacities? And the AI can automatically, if your infrastructure has it, start to shift around and reroute water flows to go to different directions to try to help work around potential leaks or issues that you might have with your pump systems. And then regulatory. Well, just tell your artificial intelligence what the state or federal regulation is, and just let it start to run the tests itself and report back to those agencies. And it'll do it more precisely, and it'll do it on time. And so it'll be taking it right out of the hands of humans. Let's look at a couple examples. The first one, American States Water Company. So American States Water Company is a national company here, and they have implemented understanding water utilization results, and they have been able to more balance their pumps, so that when they're putting water into their tanks, they don't have to worry about, oh, are the levels in the tank appropriate? No, they can take a look at what are the utilization rates of the people in the subscription area. And so maybe I don't need a full tank right now, or maybe I'm going to need a full tank down the road. And so it can optimize how those pumps are running so they're running more efficiently. It's kind of the principle of, hey, the faster you drive, the more gas you use, right? Or the slower you drive, the less gas you use. Being able to use those pumps more effectively to be able to fill those tanks to what you need and not have to have them at a max capacity at all times to be able to take care of that. So they're also using predictive maintenance, so they can identify, because they have AI hooked into all of the different data points and collecting all of the data. They can see when certain parts of their infrastructure, their pipes and systems are working harder or starting to not put through as much flow into the pipes. And they can go out and say, oh, this unit seems to be degrading. We need to look at replacing that. And they can prioritize which ones need to be replaced first. they're also using this with smart meter technology. For instance, just a few weeks ago, my family went down to Florida, and when we came back, we were faced with an inlet pipe on our toilet that had broken. And so, through that type of technology, I could have been notified that, hey, your water usage has increased in your home, and I could have quickly, from a tap of a phone, been able to shut off that particular water flow and not worry about my ceiling having to be replaced and all of that, which I had to do shortly thereafter. But then also, maybe a day that I envision when I can regulate my teenage daughter's time in the shower and try to reduce that, maybe. So that's a vision I have. But also, they're using this to be able to test potable water to make sure that levels are set up so that they can making sure that those levels are precise, not overusing chemicals or underusing chemicals, and getting into compliance ways so they can just automatically model that and utilize those systems better. Let's take a look at another one, and this one's kind of fun. Fluid analytics technology. So this is not a utility, but this is a company who makes artificial intelligence systems. So this is an interesting one. There was a student who was taking classes in San Francisco, and he returned home to Mumbai and saw a notice on his parents' apartment door that said, hey, we're gonna have the water systems are going to be shut off while we try to work on a leak that they have over there in that particular area. Well, no problem. He returned back to school afterwards. 6 months later, he came back for a wedding for one of his friends. 6 months later, the water was still off. And so he started to think, what in the world is going on? This is in 2014. Well, he did some identification. He found out that there was only 1.25 miles, 1.25 miles that had been shut off. And in that area, the mapping system was so bad that they didn't know where the pipes were going. Been there, done that, trying to look for an 8-inch main that had broken, trying to find it downtown in my small community. But it had taken them already 6 months to try to locate that using old techniques of drilling and trying to see if you can hear it, hear the break somewhere. So as an engineering student, a mechanical engineer and a robotics major in San Francisco, he went and started to design systems. And so now fluid analytics technology has now designed a robot that can float or crawl or swim through pipes. And some of you may have looked at some of this technology in the past, but it will go through and inspect and be able to map out using satellites all of your network so that all of your infrastructure, so you know where those pipes are, so that you don't have to worry about, hey, is it over here or is it over there? An example I used back when I was working in the water industry, we had a water pipe failure, and myself and one of the older guys went out there because I was the guy that got to dig the holes because I was young. And as we sat there, I said, wow, who in the world put this tree over top of or who in the world put a pipe underneath this tree? And he said, oh, no, we were there before the tree was. And so I get it. There's some infrastructure that's out there that has been there that maps don't show you. And so this technology can find all of those. It can find taps. It can find valves that were unknown and be able to get those mapped properly. So that's what they did. Fluid Analytics went through on a test, on a beta, and they started running this robotic system all through their potable water system, and they were able to remap all of their networks. But that's just not all, right? So at the same time, they said, hey, let's also run this pump through our wastewater systems. They had this artificial lake that had been there for years, and this particular artificial lake that was created had been getting a lot of wastewater in it, to the point where every year they'd have to go back and get all the sludge off the bottom of this artificial lake that they had created. Well, through using these camera robotic technologies, they were able to identify 18 drains that were accounting for 500,000 gallons per day of sewage that was actually flowing into this artificial lake. And so they were able to fix those 18 drains that were not functioning properly. And ultimately, suggest rerouting networks so that the Mumbai government that had planned on building a new wastewater treatment plant didn't need to build that anymore. And so, because they had a nearby facility that was only running at 40% capacity, so they could just re-architect, and AI helped out with this to say, hey, if you just change the flows, then you can get this over here and use some existing resources that you have. All right, one more, and then we'll move on. Octopus Energy. So this is a large energy company over in England. They account for 24% of the energy footprint in all of the country of England. It's around 11,000 employees that they have. So you can imagine. I understand that maybe, hey, 11,000 employees. I can't relate to this. I get that, but just listen for just a minute. Using supervised artificial intelligence, right? When I say supervised, that's something we'll talk about in just a minute. They were able to respond to 1/3 of all of their client requests from they're sending in. The rollout accounted for, at the end of the day, 250 positions that were no longer needed. Now you might say, well, wait a minute, there's layoffs, that's bad stuff. No, they did it through a smart rollout program, whereas as employees started to be promoted, they just wouldn't backfill that lower level position. Right. And that's how this works from a transition perspective. As you're looking at organizations, you need to say to yourself, hey, what are some tasks that AI or agentic AI can complete for me so that I can take that burden off of some of those entry level positions and help those people be promoted into positions where they can have oversight of the agentic AI or do more valuable things. And that's what Octopus Energy did. And it saved them. And also the client satisfaction rating was actually better. They had an 80% client satisfaction rating versus the human satisfaction rating that was much less, 66%. So the reason I say that this is going to be a big deal, here's some of the analogies that I'll use and how they impacted our world as we know it, right? So the first one was the introduction of the iPhone in 2007. And if we look at that, that had a major impact. That's just made things be able to be easier, right? We were able to do texting, but we were not able to do video calling, but that became a reality. Social media, like it or not, that has come to the forefront because of the iPhone. Instant access to news and entertainment and knowledge, GPS mapping. That's been a big development. Think about some of the companies that were impacted that were household names that maybe you don't think of anymore, like BlackBerry, Polaroid, Sony, Kenwood, Timex, Garmin. These are all things that you can now do on your phone. You don't have to carry around multiple devices. When's the last time that you actually said, "Oh, don't forget the camera, honey. We're going out to do this," right? That doesn't happen anymore. You just make sure you got enough storage on your phone. So, as big of an introduction that the iPhone, I also want to take a look at what the High Tech Act did in the healthcare. So the Healthcare Information Technology Act of 2009. So if you take a look at that, electronic health records, EHR. This was an act that was put out there, and your medical providers needed to go from paper records to electronic records. Many of you have encountered this. And so what did that look like? Well, you can see in 2009 and 2015, the adoption of different electronic health records and how that changed. When and they'll enter all of your vital statistics into that device. What has this done? This has reduced duplication of activities where people had to enter things on a form and then enter it on something that they'd have to submit to insurance and then maybe update an employee record. So now all of that information can be collected. It also helped enable sharing of that information so that if you have to go to the hospital for urgent care, that they already have access to all of your documents so that you can, all of your medical records, so that you can get the proper care and they know who you are and what you're being treated for already. So we can see advances, but not just that. It also helped because one of the biggest challenges was employee retention. And so having people come in or hiring people into those medical offices was really difficult to bring them in for mundane tasks, low wage tasks. They just wouldn't stay there for very long, or they'll get promoted up and then you had to go out and try to find another one. These provide some good opportunities for comparing what this artificial intelligence could do for our way of life. Oh, and by the way, we also have, if any of you have ever received, the postcard in the mail for, hey, um, such and such a medical facility has suffered a breach. And, you may want to get some LifeLock or whatever it might be set up on your credit reporting agencies. That's a side effect of it, right? So we went to electronic health records and now all of a sudden we're susceptible to cybersecurity breaches. So we have to take those things into account as well. But those were some big changes that happened recently that we can look back to and say agentic AI could have big impacts or will have big impacts just like those. So what are some things that we need to look out for when we think about agentic AI? We had the Jarvis, but then it was the good AI, but then you had the evil AI, right? That was Ultron. For some of you, maybe Terminator is a better example of that, right? I'll be back. Or maybe some of you just remember that line from War Games, shall we play a game, right? Where artificial intelligence has gone awry. So what are some things that we need to have? What are some considerations that we need to think about as we look at agentic AI and artificial intelligence in general? Access controls, data integrity, and privacy. We're still very, very early in the development of these technologies. Now, I'm not telling you that so that you can say, oh, well, I don't have to worry about it right now. I like to use this, I'll throw around the term Wild West. There's very little regulation, very little oversight in the development of artificial intelligence right now. So there's an opportunity here. And when I say access controls and data integrity and privacy in that confidentiality area, I want to make sure that your data is structured well, or the companies that you use that host your data is structured in a way that's good and resilient and can stand up against some type of artificial intelligence attack. For example, we were brought in on a company recently, just a couple of weeks back, that had a user found out, oh, hey, I was just told I'm getting a new computer. And so I'm going to go through and I'm going to delete some of my things that I don't need on my old computer. And so just went in, highlight all, delete, right? Unfortunately, he started deleting all of the employee shared files because he had access to those. So what had happened? He had moved through the company over the years. He'd been a long-term employee, and his access credentials had never been changed appropriately or set up appropriately based upon the role and the responsibilities that he had currently. And so as he moved from one position to the next position to the next position, he just got more access instead of pulling access away from him. And so when he went in and hit select all, delete, he started deleting not only engineering files, but also human resources files, payroll files, a lot of files in the system. As you can imagine, that was a pretty frantic phone call that we got. Now, we were able to help them restore their data from backups, but that was also a little bit of a lengthy process because that just takes time. So this is what I'm talking about when I talk about access controls. Recently, there was a biometric deep fake. What is a deep fake? A deep fake is where someone has a concerted effort at trying to falsify who they are. So maybe you're creating an agentic AI that knows how you act, knows where you're from, knows the places you visit, Maybe even has this pictures of your face. And it was in the news recently when one of these deep fakes was able to penetrate the federal government's security systems and get into some of their files, right? This is a biometric attack. And so we need to make sure that we're only giving access to folks that they need to have in order to be able to complete the responsibilities of their job. That's what I mean by access controls, data integrity, and privacy. And so one of the ways we can make sure, prepare ourselves for artificial intelligence is making sure that we structure good guardrails for our data. I get called in for free assessments all the time because we offer them. And don't worry, you're not alone. Every assessment I go into, I'll take a look at how they're configured. And to this day, and I've been in the industry a long time, I've never had somebody completely squeaky clean, right? So you've got a lot of folks that you can, maybe cry with or whatever that might be. But what I say is there's a big opportunity. There's an opportunity here to go and say, hey, before AI starts looking at my data, how about if I get it set up in a way that I know it's only going to be able to look at this and nothing else? Integrity. So this was about 6 or 9 months ago. I got a text message from a friend at church, and he said, hey, this AI thing that's the devil. And so he and I had a lengthy discussion about artificial intelligence. And the best illustration I have for this is that artificial intelligence is like a firearm. Okay, it's a gun. You have bad actors, and if they get a hold of a gun, bad things will happen. You have good people using AI in a good way, and good things will happen. Or you've got reckless people who get a hold of AI or a firearm, and reckless things will happen. And so from that approach, we're not saying, oh, let's just walk away from guns and make sure nobody has them. No, not at all. Not me. But what I'm saying is you need to learn about artificial intelligence. You need to understand how it works. What is it good for? What is it bad for? One of the things that's alarming is how many teenagers are starting to use ChatGPT and Gemini and things like this when they have mental health issues. They're reaching out because they've got a bad view of adults, and that hurts my heart. That they're, instead of coming to me and sharing their problems and asking for help, they're going to AI and asking AI for help. And so there's definitely some ethical considerations that we need to take into account here as we start to look at this. That's integrity. Availability, well, this is the idea about how, because we're in this environment where you don't need to be a coder or a programmer in order to set up artificial AI, you can just say, oh, go create this for me. And it'll go to all of the programming sources that are out there and pull it all together and put it together. Now you're creating bots that are all over the place, right? And you might initially see some amazing gains at your company from introducing some of these bots, right? Oh, wow, look at how that helped our value as a company. Look at how this helped our clients. Look at how this has helped us be able to reduce our operational costs. But then what if somebody in another department says, hey, wait, it'd be great if this could also do this, and it breaks it for everybody. There needs to be oversight of agentic AI and artificial intelligence. And so as you're starting to build these, you need to make sure that you put a structure in place that it's going to be able to survive. The AI will be able to survive that smart person on staff that knew how to set it up and got it running for you, but maybe now isn't able to take care of it, or is in a different department, or maybe he's at a different company somewhere because he's been so valuable. You need to be able to set it up in a way that can survive the smart people in your organization. That's what I mean by availability. So how do we get started in this? Well, I would say the first thing is education, again, like I talked about. So make sure to create some policies. Many of you probably have an internet use policy. And when you come on staff, you have to sign that internet use policy that says, I'm not going to go to bad websites on employee computers or employee internet access. And so I'm not going to do that. Create an artificial intelligence policy, how it's going to be used, how it's not going to be used. Most of the AI that's used out there, folks are using the free version. The free version has no security. Okay. So if you just go out to, if you download the ChatGPT app on your phone or Bing or whatever, Copilot, in general, there's no security on those. Your information is being shared. If you buy the pay for versions, maybe you're paying $20 a month, you'll get some additional security benefits that are there. But I want you to understand there's no inherent security built in these. These are designed to go out and search every available piece of information and try to bring back good suggestions or take actions. They're autonomous. They think, they go do. And so we need to make sure that we educate and we put proper guardrails in for these AI agents. Assessing clean data, we talked about that. I think that this is an opportunity for us. So if you've implemented a cybersecurity framework, maybe it's NIST, maybe it's ISO 27001, maybe you're going down the CMMC route because you've got some federal governments that you're working with, that's great. But I know many have been on the fence and said, hey, yeah, I don't have budget for it. I can't do it right now. I've got so many projects we're working on. This is making sure that your doors and your windows are locked so that when AI comes knocking, they can't get in. So there's an opportunity. Did I mention that this is early? We're very early in this. It's not going to take long for this to start going out there and looking and starting to act on our behalves. Use this opportunity to start to look at protecting your organizations, protecting yourself from AI. And I'm not trying to scare folks. I'm just trying to make sure that you understand the impact here. Now, if you do have an on-site IT person, work with them. Or maybe you have a technology partner that you're working with. You know, they should be talking to you about this coming wave. We all know about it. We all understand it. And we're trying to stay in front of it just like you have. Right? So make sure that you're bringing up those conversations with them, that you understand. And they're all going to say, must be they went to a conference. You know, yeah, that's right. This is what they're good for. Partner strategically. And what I mean by that is make sure that you're working with trustworthy organizations. Yesterday, the Tennessee State Comptroller was up here talking about how, oh, that person would never steal money from our organization. Wow. Wasn't that like mind-blowing? Same thing with your partners, your vendors, who you're working with. Make sure that you're vetting them. Make sure that they're transparent. Make sure that they're truthful. Make sure that they're following best practices. Make sure that they will tell you, I don't know, if they don't know. It's going to be critical because as an IT organization, we're all getting artificial intelligence pushed down upon us and all of the tool sets, everything that's out there. I don't care if it's an Android, an Apple, a Google Pixel, Windows. I don't care what kind of a device it is. Artificial intelligence is coming fast. Start with small pilot projects. You know, I mentioned a little while ago that there might be some areas where you say, hey, maybe it's assets that you can have AI go out and do an assessment or take a look at all of your inventory of assets and come back and provide reporting or keep it on task whenever something pops on. You know, look for little projects that you can work on, but keep in mind, we don't want that smart tech and the survivability of that AI to be an issue, right? It needs to be able to keep going. But what about me personally? What are some resources that I can use? Well, you know, I know it's time. It's hard, right? There's a lot that's going on out there. Trust me, I've got a lot of kiddos at the house. And so I'm trying to manage that as well. But I do find times, maybe 10 minutes here, 30 minutes there, whether I'm traveling to and from the office, riding the lawnmower out in the backyard, doing some gardening. I've got the headphones on and I'm trying to learn about this stuff. And so what are some resources that you can go to? Look at podcasts, right? Some of the ones that I've been listening to, ThinkCast, which is by Gartner Research. They've done a ton on what do the trends look like for artificial intelligence and agentic AI. That's a great resource for you. Agentic AI talks a lot about ethics in artificial intelligence. And so that's a great opportunity for you to listen to some of those. The Agentic Insider recently had the corporate vice president for Microsoft on for an interview and talked a lot about how Agentic AI is being developed in the Microsoft platform. These are some great resources that you can look at. Well, funny thing though, if you go out onto your podcast software of choice and start to look for AI and Agentic AI podcasts, what I found is about half of them are artificial intelligence doing the actual interview, which is hilarious. Some of them are very upfront about it, and others, you're like, wow, I've listened to 6 episodes and they've never misspoken once. I bet you that's artificial intelligence. And some of them you can just tell are deliberate mistakes by AI. Ask your friends how they're interacting with artificial intelligence. What are they using it for? Are they using it to plan a vacation? Are they using it to recommend books? Is your college student using it to fill out papers? Whatever that might be. And then meditate. Why did I put meditate in here? Start to think and dream a little bit about if you had a personal assistant, what would you like it to do for you? Because it's not going to be long before those are a reality, and you're going to be able to have that little Jarvis talking to you and letting you know about your options before you've even asked. From a professional standpoint, there's conferences like this so that you can come to learn more about how this could impact your organization. Again, talk to your partners. Part of our technical business reviews that we have quarterly with clients, we're talking about artificial intelligence with our partners to try to make sure they're on the forefront and they're understanding what's about to come and how we can help structure all their data sets and their access controls to make sure that it can't just run wild out there. And then, we'll have Pelisipi coming in here in just a little while. I think they're on the docket. And they've got learning programs that you can actually go and get formal training based on artificial intelligence. So start to look out there for some resources. And, here's a fun thing that you can do. Just ask your spouse, right, how they're using AI. I will tell you, 6 months ago when I was talking to my wife, she was like, that AI thing, no way, no how, that's terrible. I can't stop getting text messages from her now on what ChatGPT tells me I should be doing, right? And so it has flipped. And I'm in technology, but these are some opportunities. So I just want to say thank you. And if you've got any questions, I'd love to answer questions for you as best as I can. I also put a QR code up there for my LinkedIn. If you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, or that's my cell number. Don't call me late at night, but feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to help you kind of think through how your organizations are doing that. Or you can always find me in the association membership directory. I'm in there as well. So any questions? Yes, sir. You know, he said, is the brain going to get obsolete? With quantum computing coming out, these they're starting to attach artificial intelligence to them. And so, the corporate vice president of Microsoft said very clearly, and I thought this was really good. You're going to have artificial intelligence that basically has the same thing as multiple doctorate degrees. And so when you go ask it a question, it's going to be able to give you the most precise thing. Now, every Disney movie you watch out there, love conquers all, right? I don't think that artificial intelligence is going to be able to handle emotion. And so that's the one area where we were created that I believe that we still have an advantage. And we are people who like to create things. That's how we're built. And so some of that, I think AI still won't be able to do as well as humans can. So hopefully that answered your question. Other questions? Cool. Well, thank you again. It was an honor to be here, and I'll be hanging out for a little while to answer any questions you might have. So have a great morning.
So we're going to take about a 10-minute break, get everything swapped over, then we'll get back in here for the second presentation. Guys are scanning in the back. Make sure you get your badge scanned if you need the CE credits. Thanks.